How many of you, show of hands out there, have contributed to open source in the past? Okay, quite a few. I kind of expected that. How many of you have not, but have meant to or wanted to? A few. Okay. You were in the same position that I'm in, basically. Oh yeah, one final question. Those of you who did not raise your hand to say that you had contributed, how many of you really have contributed by fixing up documentation or even just filing bugs in projects? Oh yeah. No, but you, Nathan, you do lots of, you don't count. You don't count. Okay, so I appreciate you being the only one raising that. But that's just to say that even minor things like documentation and bug fixes and stuff, those are valuable contributions to open source, right? So I just want to put that out there. Yeah, so I'm talking about contributing to open source as a beginner. And I want to put out, I am very much a beginner myself, so this is not from the point of view of somebody who's a super expert rock star in the open source world. In fact, I just got my first pull request accepted a few weeks ago. And this talk actually is inspired by the fact that I thought that I should maybe talk about my experience. Because I know from experience that it can be kind of intimidating. And if you're not, even if you are a programmer and you do it like every day, if you haven't contributed to open source, it's kind of its own culture and everything. And so you might not know how exactly the things work, or you might worry about people yelling at you for not doing things right. So I just wanted to talk about that pull request. Maybe remove some of the intimidation factor for those of you who have wanted to do it but haven't done it yet. So open source Python packages, everybody loves them, right? I love them, they're great. I couldn't get any real work done without them, I think. But what happens when you're using one and you encounter a bug? It's a very sad situation because it's not code you wrote yourself, right? You're kind of relying on somebody else to build this structure to get your work done. You encounter a bug, you kind of feel powerless, right? Because it's not your thing. I was in this situation about a month ago at work using a semi-popular Python package, and I ran into what I was pretty sure was a bug, and it made me very sad. So what can you do? Well, one thing you can do, like I said, even if you just do this, this is valuable. This is the GitHub page. If you click on the, oh, it doesn't show up very well on the screen, but if you click on the exclamation point on the right sidebar, that's for the issues, and you click new issue, you say, help, I'm having this problem. Describe it in detail, and the people who work on the package will appreciate that. And hopefully they'll go out and fix it, and they'll release a new version eventually that solves their problem. And that's valuable. Good. If you can do that, good. Do that because it's helpful. But I put it to you that if you're here today and you're a Python programmer, it's probably within your power to look into this a little bit more and see if you can fix it yourself. So like I said, I was in this situation with a package. Here is, I'm just going to describe the bug briefly. This code is obfuscated because I don't want to call it the specific project. I just want to show you the general form of the bug, which is pretty simple. Like, it's not a complicated thing. It's something that you could find yourself, I'm sure. So it's in this function here, very short function, fits on the slide. This function takes items, which is a list of tuples, and one of the items in the tuple is a path to what should be a file. And most of them are going to be paths to a file in the file system, but occasionally they're not. And in that case, we have to call a special function and get a slightly different path for reasons that are complicated. But I want to call your attention to these last sort of lines in the loop here. What do we do at the end of that in this case where we have found a path that's no good and we have to fix it up? We remove that whole tuple from the list, and then we append a new one. If you're looking carefully, you'll notice that we're mutating this list items while we're iterating over this list items. And this is bad because it won't crash. What will happen is we'll remove that item, and then we'll iterate to the next item in the list, and that will cause one of the items to get skipped over. So this is kind of a classic problem, you know. It doesn't crash, it sort of fails silently. Beginners have this problem, we teach them the answer. And this occurs in a real code base, and it's hard to find because, like I said, this situation is rare, where these files don't exist. And so it only causes a bug if there are two right in a row, so we encounter the first one, and then we skip over the second one. So it's simple, but it's not, it wasn't found. It was in the code base for like a year at least, because it didn't occur well. So the solution, I won't go over it in detail, is just instead of mutating the same list, we build up a new list with our tuples. So pretty simple solution. So that's the first lesson, is that these bugs are not always complicated. It's within your power to find them. So then what did I do? Well, I fixed it in my local copy, and then I happily used my locally fixed version forever and ever. I never told anybody. The end. No, that's not the end, because then I wouldn't have a talk, really. No, but that's kind of what I felt like doing, right? Like, I fixed it, and it fixed my use case, and I was like, okay, it's done. It's probably a lot of work, I guess, to share this fix with other people, so I won't do it. But it bugged me, like I knew about GitHub, and I knew generally how to submit a pull request and stuff. So eventually I felt like I had to do it, so I dove into teaching myself how to do it. I did a lot of research to make sure I was doing it the right GitHub approved way, approved by the open source culture. This is not a complete guide to open source. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but here's my brief recipe for a pull request. First, fork the repository on GitHub. Don't just use your own sort of manually downloaded local copy or whatever. Second, Git and source control systems. Put your changes in a branch. So this is what I did. I took my changes from my local copy and just sort of put it into a new branch of this repository. This is very important. If the project has tests, run the tests to make sure that you don't break some things with your solution. It's not good enough to just check that it fixes your use case. You have to make sure it doesn't break any tests. And bonus round, write a test that fails before you do your fix and succeeds after the fix. I didn't actually do this, so if you do this, you can be better than me when you do your pull request. So what's next? You have to go to GitHub and you have to push this scary button because everybody's going to see your pull request. But it's not that bad, and GitHub is, I find, very usable for setting up these pull requests. You specify which branch it's supposed to be from, and you describe again what you changed, what it fixed, etc. You tell everybody, yes, I ran the tests, so hopefully they will work for you too. And then all there is to do is just wait for the people who are kind of in charge of it to look at your pull request. And in my case, it was kind of anticlimactic because I waited for a couple of days, and then one guy posted and basically one sentence like, yeah, there are no regressions, it looks good, it's fine. So it's kind of an anticlimactic end to the story, but that's kind of the point. Like, open source contribution doesn't have to be big and dramatic, and you don't have to make huge changes. If you find a little thing and you fix it, that's a valid, useful contribution. Okay, so to sum up, you can, if you're a Python programmer, you can find bugs in Python packages. You can fix them. If you want to make a pull request, put your stuff in a branch, run the tests, see the pull request. Most pull requests are short. So that is to say that you don't need to be a rock star, superstar of the open source world to make a big difference. I mean, we need those people to come up with the new packages with the fancy features that we love, but we also need the people who just use it to take the time every now and then, if they find a small issue, to report it, maybe to fix it, maybe to submit a pull request. We need all of these sorts of people to make open source software work, I think. At least that's my beginning to do the situation. So that's about it. I'm not sure what sort of questions you have about my experience, but I'd be happy to take them. Yes?
I think just recently, GitHub rolled out the ability to edit a page right on GitHub, and then when you click save, it will go to the open a pull request page where you can open a pull request. You don't even need to forward.
Oh, you mean edit the source right on GitHub?
Yeah, right on the, if you're looking at a source file on GitHub, and I did this today, just a spelling mistake or whatever, click the edit button, fix the mistake, push the green button, and then it asks you to open a pull request. So if it's just a one line change or something, you can just open a pull request right on the website. You don't have to fork the repository.
Right. Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah, like I say, I'm not an expert, so I don't know all the features on GitHub, but that's, yeah.
I think it's that new features.
Yeah, right, yeah. It definitely encourages those sort of small fixes, right? The small obvious fixes, yeah. Reduces the friction. Anything else?
You were talking about documentation too. I think that's really good to know. Is like sometimes I've got in and just like updated someone's README or something because as a new user it didn't really make sense or something, but they had gone back to that.
Yeah. Or even little things. Yeah.
Like that.
Even little things like typos. Yeah, I kind of was overzealous. I jumped right into editing and fixing the code, right? But even, yeah, making small fixes to documentation. It's all good. Like people appreciate that kind of stuff.
What I found was really cool about starting to contribute more to open source is that you're getting like the people that run the project are reviewing what changes you make and suggesting things, and you're actually getting some level of mentorship from them by contributing to their project. So it's actually a really cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. There are tons of benefits, and it's just getting over that that hump of like intimidation or whatever, or doing it the first time just so you know that you know how it works. Like, yes, I do push this button, and this is how I make a pull request. Yeah. I suggest you also find a project where the people seem relatively sane thankfully Python packages seem pretty good for that. Again, I'm going to plug requests. Great package. We need to have a talk on it sometime. But those guys are pretty professional with their, and they, because the package is so popular, they get tons and tons of issues and stuff. And so many of them are like, oh, this isn't actually not a problem with us. It's a problem with one of the packages we depend on. And so just close the issue with nothing. But despite all of this stuff that they get constantly, they don't tend to get upset with people or anything. It's very classy guys there.
But providing more information is sometimes useful. Like I've been on and seen somebody said, oh, like I tried to install this Grue package on Mavericks and it didn't work. And so I went and tried it and it worked for me. Even just your contribution of saying, look, it must be something weird you're doing or whatever. Not everyone is having your problem.
Yeah.
So that's useful information for the package maintainer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Any more questions?